The two most talked about faces of Turkish TV series and former lovers seem to now share not only memories, but also nearby real estate. But today we won't talk about their relationship. We'll talk about real estate, about which districts of Istanbul these two live in, and how much their homes cost. Get comfortable. There will be plenty of interesting details about the life of Turkish stars. Subscribe to our channel to always stay in the loop with the most fascinating content. And now, let's get started. Before we get to the houses, a few words about who's who. Hande Erçel was born in 1993 in the city of Bandırma, Balıkesir province. She started as a model, took part in beauty pageants, and later conquered Turkish television with roles in the series Daughters of the Sun, Black Pearl, and of course, Love is in the Air, Sen Çal Kapımı, where she played Ada Yıldız. Kerem Bürsin was born in Istanbul in 1987, but spent his childhood moving around. His family lived in 7 different countries before settling in Texas, USA. Kerem began his acting career in America and gained fame in Turkey thanks to the series Waiting for the Sun, and of course that same Love is in the Air, where he played Serkan Bolat. It was during filming of this series in 2020-2021, according to reports from Turkish media, that things turned into a real relationship. And as journalists claimed, into living together. The story of shared housing, the Beykoz district. In early 2021, the Turkish press wrote that Hande Erçel had purchased a new home. A 3-story house in the Beykoz district, on the Asian shore of Istanbul, by the Bosphorus Strait. The purchase price was estimated at around $2.5 million. The actress reportedly spent an additional roughly $250,000 on renovation and interior design. An interesting detail. Journalists wrote that Hande allegedly signed a confidentiality agreement with the design company, with a substantial financial penalty in case they revealed the home's location or used the footage in advertising. In other words, the star apparently tried from the start to keep the exact address as hidden as possible from outsiders. Before this purchase, by the way, Hande lived in the Çubuklu Vadievleri residential complex, together with her former boyfriend, musician Murat Dalkılıç. But then, according to Turkish journalist Akif Yaman, Kerem Bürsin himself temporarily moved into the new villa in Beykoz. The reason cited by sources, to help Hande settle into the new place and simply to be near her. Both of them, according to the publications, tried not to be seen together by paparazzi. They even drove their cars out through the backyard so they could leave unnoticed for filming in Kuzgunçuk. So yes, for a while this couple was, in essence, not just neighbors, but literally living under the same roof. What changed after the breakup? In early 2022, the couple, according to Turkish tabloids, broke up, and that's when their paths, quite literally, began to diverge. Kerem Bürsin bought a luxurious mansion in the gated residential complex, Beykoz Mansions. That same prestigious Beykoz district known for its villas with Bosphorus views. The deal was estimated at around $3.2 million. However, there are other sources, for example, articles about the neighborhoods where Turkish actors live, that name the waterfront quarter of Bebek in the Beşiktaş district on the European side of the city, as a place Kerem prefers to spend time. Perhaps these refer to different properties, his main residence, and a place where the actor likes to relax and walk. As for Hande, the situation is even more interesting. the actress continues to live in her house and hasn't yet fully completed the design of the whole space. At the same time, Hande bought an apartment in the Riva district, also on the Asian side of Istanbul, not far from the Black Sea. The cost of this purchase is estimated at around $2 million. And the actress's biggest purchase was a new apartment in central London, where she spends an enormous amount of time. So are they neighbors now? Back to the main question of this video. If you look at a map of Istanbul, Beykoz is a fairly large district on the Asian shore of the Bosphorus, stretching over several dozen square kilometers from the waterfront to the forested hills. Formally, if the reports that both Kerem and Hande are in one way or another connected to real estate in this district are to be believed, they could indeed have remained neighbors for a while, just no longer in the same house, but in the same large, prestigious district. It seems Kerem, who had previously lived at Hande's place, liked the district so much that he decided to move there himself as well, or simply wanted to be closer to the actress. And now, the best part. Let's take a look inside, or rather, at what the stars themselves have shown on social media. Hande Erçel's house. The interior of Hande's house is not strict white minimalism, but rather a warm and eclectic design style. Dark, almost graphite-colored wall panels sit alongside a cozy fireplace, and in contrast to them, a light-colored sofa made of soft boucle fabric, an accent chair in black and white stripes, and a terracotta pouf of an unusual sculptural shape. On the wall is a large abstract painting in copper tones, and on a separate shelving unit is displayed a whole collection of awards and statuettes, quite fitting for an actress with so many prizes. Large houseplants are placed throughout the home. The floors are made of natural wood, and in one of the rooms stands the iconic Eames lounge chair, a recognizable detail that design connoisseurs love to include in interiors. The house also has a spacious terrace with panoramic windows and a view of greenery, and in one of the rooms there's a huge mirror in a gold-carved frame, in which Hande often photographs herself for casual chic looks. And the house is clearly not empty. In photos, the actress is often surrounded by dogs. Apparently, the striped sofa in the living room has more than once become the arena for their noisy games. And here's an interesting detail for our story. Hande doesn't just decorate her house with other people's art, she paints herself. The actress studied in the Department of Traditional Turkish Arts at Mimar Sinan University of Fine Arts, and painting for her is not just a passing hobby, but a truly long-standing passion she's had since her school years. According to some reports, this is why her house, according to fans and journalists, has a corner that could be called a creative studio, a place where she paints and keeps her works. Kerem Bürsin's house. It seems that the understated, quiet style we see in Kerem's kitchen is not a one-off design experiment, but the approach for the entire house. Based on the photos, the whole mansion appears to be done in a unified graphite and wood palette. Muted gray and dark brown tones, matte surfaces without excess shine, natural stone and wood instead of bright accents and gilding. No colorful furniture, no loud details. Everywhere calm, almost monochrome tones that don't distract from the view outside the window. This approach, by the way, says a lot about Kerem himself. Unlike Hande, who surrounds herself with works of art, awards, and bright accents, Kerem apparently chooses a much more restrained, almost minimalist aesthetic. Kerem has a completely different hobby, one hardly anyone would expect from a serious dramatic actor. Kerem is a Lego fan, and not in the sense of sometimes puts together a box in the evenings, but literally, the actor assembles huge sets of 6,000, 7,000 pieces dedicated to the Star Wars universe. For example, he built Darth Vader's ship, made up of almost 4,800 pieces. He regularly posts videos and photos of the building process on his social media, and according to him, this activity helps him relax and completely disconnect from work stress. The hobby became so notable that in 2023, Kerem even became the face of a charity initiative by Lego, together with the Turkish Foundation for helping children with leukemia, LOSEV. It's amusing that despite such different approaches to relaxation, brushes and paints for Hande versus a construction set for Kerem, both heroes of our video choose creativity as a way to relieve stress. Maybe that's why it was so comfortable for them to live as neighbors, or even under the same roof. So that's the story of two houses, one district, and one very loud couple that didn't work out. Hande Erçel and Kerem Bursin, it seems, really once were not just colleagues on set, but genuine neighbors, or maybe even more. Today, both have acquired their own real estate in different but equally prestigious corners of Istanbul. If you enjoyed this investigation, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and write in the comments. Do you think there's still a chance these two will end up as neighbors again? See you in the next video.